The Exorcist is actually one of my favorite films, and it's one who, in my opinion, doesn't get the credit it deserves. I mean, sure, as a kid you've probably heard your parents talking about how much this movie had scared them and why you shouldn't watch it, but why? Why has this film made such an impact, not only on the viewers, but on culture itself? I feel like knowing this will further help audiences know why this film is just as good as it is, and why it survived so many years and is still talked about today. But in order to know this, we're gonna have to go back to 1973 when this movie was first released. While making The Exorcist, director William Friedkin never wanted the film to seem fake. He approached the project as if everything in the film could happen, and therefore scaring the audience due to the overall feeling that what they were watching was real. Unlike the sequels to The Exorcist, this film was able to create such a new and original vibe that it hit audiences in just the right place to want them to come back and see it again and again.
It's really gross.
It was really terrific.
I want to see if it's going to make me throw up.
Horror movies before this included Rosemary's Baby, Psycho, Night of the Living Dead, and many more. The 60s was a huge period for the horror genre, and it was really the stepping stone into the 70s where even more horror films came out. Some might say that The Exorcist was just perfect timing for the film to come out, and you'd be right. Even the director of the film has spoken out about this, and it's pretty hard to deny his point.
If you were to make The Exorcist today, that you would have made it in any way differently.
You couldn't make The Exorcist today the way I made it. It would have to be ludicrous, the way all of these Exorcist sequels and rip-offs have been.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you'd have to escalate all the special effects. It would all have to be so wildly supernatural and without any kind of realistic base.
If a film like this came out nowadays, it may be scary, but it would never reach the level of impact it had on the people who saw it originally.
Sometimes even they stand in line for 5 and 7 hours. We've heard some of the people say they've been standing in line that long, and they'll come in and they won't be able to watch the whole movie because it's just too much for them, and they'll come out after about an hour, but they don't complain about standing in line.
I don't like it. I want to go home. Makes my heart beat too fast.
I don't know, it doesn't bother me that much. But I guess it bothered her more than it bothered me.
Sadly, audiences today have grown up with horror movies their whole life, and therefore aren't scared to most of the things that come out today. Kids today grow up with movies like Friday the 13th, Halloween, and Nightmare on Elm Street, so when they see this movie, it's really nothing new to them, and therefore, it just won't scare them. If you watch this movie and aren't scared by it, like me when I first watched this movie, you should really understand how different it was to be back then compared to now. Although films before this had scared audiences, no film before this had ever reached such big of an impact like this one.
Halfway through the movie, the movie starts getting quite violent, and people get quite unusual reactions, and we have a lot of people throwing up and a lot of people shuddering. But the thing that really surprises me is people faint. I mean, I've never in my life known a movie where people would faint. I mean, it's hard to make people faint.
Realistically as possible. Right. The novel, it has been said that the film The Exorcist has taken the more exploitive elements of the novel and left out maybe some of the meatier aspects. Do you want to comment on that?
Sure. Who said that? First, let's talk about who said it.
Okay, it has been said in some reviews.
By who?
Film critics.
Which one?
Okay, I don't have specifics with me, but that has been said.
I've never heard that.
One thing that I really respect about William Friedkin is that in order to make this movie, he really had to break down every boundary that was set before him. As I said before, one of the biggest reasons this movie hit audiences as much as it did is the fact that this film was unlike anything that had come before it. Sometimes, especially with movies today, directors often like to cut things out of their movie in order to get a PG-13 rating, that way more people can see it, which will reach a wider audience, and the studios will make more money. Doing this is fine, as long as it doesn't get in the way of your film, but if let's say William Friedkin wanted to reach a wider audience by cutting the movie down and making it a PG rating, then this film would not have been as groundbreaking as it was. Again, one of the many reasons this movie was just as powerful as it was, and still is today, was the fact that people had never seen a film as violent and truly frightening. Also, this movie isn't all violence like some people say. It's not completely void of substance. There's actually characters that you can really relate to in a way, and also you can care for them. Directors today often underestimate how important it is to have great characters, and when you actually have them, your film is going to be a lot better.
Hello, Linda. how are you?
I'm fine, how are you?
How's the head, all right?
Oh yeah.
No horns?
No horns.